What's poppin', family? Super excited to be with you. My name is Jay. I'm your coach and the creator of this beautiful space. I want to take a few minutes and talk to you about whether your growth lasts or what determines if your growth burns you out. And that's the rhythm that you move at. So this week is all about rhythm. Most people don't burn out because they're weak. They burn out because they've never learned how to lead their energy. And we're not having the success circle call today, so I wanted to take a few minutes and do a little pre-recorded lesson for you guys and see if I can give you some points to think about this Sunday headed into next week as we prepare for the call on Tuesday. Alexis is going to go into a deeper dive of this lesson. And so as your life grows, as your responsibilities grow, as your calling grows, your rhythm has to grow with it. And so otherwise, pressure will eventually outpace your capacity. And if you missed last week's call, you can go back. We talked about capacity and leading under pressure. And if your rhythm doesn't grow with your calling, your responsibility, with your life, then that pressure will eventually outpace your capacity. So the quote that we're building off this week says that your calendar reveals your values. In other words, what you consistently make time for is what you're really building. It's what you really value. Not what you say matters, not what you intend on doing, not what your intentions are, but what you schedule. So if you don't design your rhythm, life will design it for you. And most people end up living on accidental growth instead of intentional growth. Most people live on accident instead of on assignment. So I wanted to take just a few minutes and break down the flight assessment styles and what it looks like building a rhythm and what they look like when they're headed towards burnout. So every flight assessment style has a natural burnout pathway. And under pressure, we don't just get tired, we default. So if you're a high pilot, you go into overdrive. And what that may look like is if you're scheduling things that you're not intending on scheduling, or you're saying yes to problems that you don't have to solve, right? It looks like I'll handle it, I'll push through it, I'll grind through it until their body or their relationships forces them to stop, and they will, right? Just like me the other day, I was running through trying to build everything, trying to make sure everything's at excellent and top peak performance. Then I get a migraine and I'm down for a week. That's what it's about. It's not about going into overdrive. It's about managing the rhythm that you operate at and make sure that you're scheduling the things that you value. For the high flight attendants are overgiving. Flight attendants start to overgive. Everyone else gets the best of them, and they get the leftovers. That breeds resentment in other people for flight attendants. So we need to schedule time for ourselves just as much as we're pouring into other people, right? And then grounds crew can stagnate. They protect comfort over growth. You default into, I'll stay comfortable, and that keeps you in a place where you're not growing. It feels safe, but it slowly shrinks your capacity as a grounds crew and shrinks your capacity for your growth journey. And then my ATCs in the other corner, ATCs go into over control. They want to control everything. They try to manage everything perfectly and exhaust themselves in the process. Like all this over control turns into exhaustion at the end of the day, and you don't have anything to give. To your relationships, to your dreams, your goals, your visions, you don't have anything. Every style has a strength, and every style has a stress trap, right? So leadership maturity is knowing yours and when you're headed down that path. So when you feel yourself headed down that path, I want to give you guys a simple framework to operate from to help you build a sustainable rhythm. I'll call it the 3 R's. R to the third power, right? The 3 R's, right? First one's restore. And you got to ask yourself and look at your assessment. What restores me regularly? Sleep, prayer, movement, stillness. Like, not, and I don't want this to be someday or eventually, but what restores you regularly, weekly? What do you do weekly that restores you? For me, it's prayer first thing in the morning. It's reading my scriptures. It's spending that time with my higher power, knowing that I got to pour into myself before I pour out into others. And trust me, I'm leading a lot of people from the community to the calls, to Instagram and the follow, to the dealership and the sales team. Like I do a lot, but I also restore myself regularly. And then the second R is regulate. You got to understand what drains you the most and ask yourself, what drains me the most? Certain conversations, certain environments, certain habits, certain people. What are the things that are taking more energy than giving me energy, right? And mature leaders learn to manage the drainers. They manage the things that drain them from the energy so they can protect it and actually put it into something that supports the vision and where they're headed. And then the second R is realignment. And so ask yourself, what matters most in this season right now? Family, health, vision, healing, growth? Is it some of the 7 equities mindset? Body, soul, intimate relationships, networking relationships, business or finance? Like, your rhythm should reflect your season that you're in and what you're trying to build. It should operate around that core vision. It should operate around what matters most to you in this season. It may not matter to somebody else. It may not matter to those people around you, but it matters to you. And so when leaders consistently restore, regulate, and realign, burnout actually loses its power. We're able to last longer. So you guys know I'm the practical one, so I'm gonna give you guys an exercise to use throughout the week, and I want you to really think about this in a place of what's going to help me avoid burnout and sustain my growth. So grab a pen, a pad, pause the video if you have to, but grab a pen and a pad, and I want you to write down 1, 2, and 3 points. The first one is protect. What's one habit I'm protecting? And so write that down. One habit I'm protecting is blank, right? One thing that I'm protecting is what restores me, and that's my prayer. I'm always going to make time for prayer and scripture. I'm always going to do that. I make time to spend time with my higher power because I know that my calling's based on what my higher power has for my life. And then you need to reduce. Secondly, reduce. One habit I'm reducing is blank. What's the drainers? What's taking you away from it? Loads of people you need to spend less time with. Write it down, make it practical. And then third is rebuild. One habit I'm rebuilding is, and this should match the season that you're in. This should match what matters most to you. If you've gotten off the path, if you strayed away, this isn't about perfection. This is about sustainability. It's about intention. It's about what I want my rhythm to look like. So one habit I'm protecting is blank. One habit I'm reducing is blank. And one habit I'm rebuilding is blank. That's your practice headed into next week. So let me close with this. You're not just building success, you're building sustainability. You're learning how to lead your life, not just survive through it, right? And on Tuesday, Alexis is going to go even deeper into how emotional rhythms and internal alignment supports everything that we're talking about here and everything that we're building towards in the future. I don't want you guys to miss that. That's Tuesday. You can access that in the classroom tab, or in the calendar tab. You can access that in the calendar tab. I want you to remember, strong leaders don't just run hard. We don't just operate from excellence. We don't just push ourselves to the next level, but we also run long. We run sustainable. We sustain the growth and the progress that we've made up until now, and we build off top of that. So I want you to continue to build off top of that. I'm proud of you. Stay committed. Stay focused. Stay inspired. Stay connected. And please, 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 don't let anyone touch your mind.